If you can do this one easy thing, which literally takes 5 minutes to implement in your life, the speed at which you're going to get rich is going to increase massively. Now, if you can't sit and watch a quick 10-minute video on how to manage your brain so you can make money, I'm sorry, but you're a lost cause and there's nothing I can do to help you. So make it full screen, lock in, watch the whole thing. Let's get started. All the rich people I know, they know how to do this. They know how to dopamine load, and I've been doing this without realizing it for about 8 years. And if you can learn to do this, then getting rich becomes impeccably easy because you can manipulate your neurochemistry to find doing hard things easy. You can literally find doing the things that you hate easy. The thing is right now, is you're probably well aware of this. You could play a video game for 10 hours straight. You could binge watch an entire Netflix season in one sitting. You could spend 6 hours on YouTube and you could eat a huge, massive meal without much problem that's not good for you. And these things are easy and you want to do them, which is why you do them, because your brain is just like engineered towards wanting to do these easy things. But there is a way to find it easy to do the hard things like work, meditate, read, exercise, etc. And I'm going to explain it to you and it's going to blow your mind, right? So what we can do is we can use this graph. This is basically someone's day, and the day starts here and it finishes here. And what we can track on this column is dopamine release. And so what most people's days look like from a neurochemical perspective is it's up and it's down and it's up and it's down and then it's up and it's up and it's up and it's down and it's down. And like most people's days in terms of their brain look something like this, where they wake up and they're stimulated and they're on their phone in the morning and now they're eating some sugary cereal or some toast or something, and then then they come back down as they get into work, but then they get a little bit bored, so they open up Netflix, watch an episode, and they're like, oh, I need to get back to work, so they come back down here, and then they get bored again and they start like stimulating their brain by playing a video game, and then it's lunchtime and they eat this massive carby meal and they watch YouTube whilst they're having their lunch, and then they're scrolling through TikTok and they go to the bathroom and they're on their phone, and then they come back down here after lunch, and then it's up here a little bit. And then most people, their days are just like so irregular in terms of their brain pattern when it comes to stimulation. And this presents a huge problem because what happens is when you stimulate yourself heavily at these peaks throughout the day, what goes up must come down. And so throughout the day, if you're looking to stimulate yourself really heavily and get all the way up to this big high, when it comes to doing the things that you need to do that aren't as stimulating as the artificial forces, it's really tough, because when it comes to stimulus or a stimulus, we have two types of stimulus, okay? We have artificial and we have natural, okay? And so a natural stimulus is something like work, it's something like reading, it's something like exercise. These are just low level stimulants that, make you feel good, but are just normal. And the artificial stimulants, these are things like short form content, junk food, YouTube, gaming, pornography, you name it, all those things that is bad for you. And the mistake that people make in their day is they basically hop between artificial and natural states. And so, 1 minute they're in artificial dopamine state, and the next minute they're not. And then, basically it's really tough to be down here when you're used to being up here, because up here feels pretty damn good. So what is dopamine loading and how does it work? Well, I can show you what my graph would look like, and this should give you some idea as to where we're going with this video. So my dopaminergic release looks something like this, where I wake up and it spikes a little, maybe a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here, and then bang, and then it just tapers off. And so what this means is, for the large majority of my day, up until I finish work, which is basically like 7 or 8 p.m. I wake up at like 7 or 8 a.m. and then I finish. So this entire 12-hour window here, basically the entire day, I'm in what we would call a low dopamine state. And all of my dopamine release the majority of my dopamine release is intentionally loaded towards the end of my day. And what this means is that for the first 12 hours of the day or the first 8 hours of the day or whatever I'm doing, I'm finding it quite easy to do the things that I need to do, like work, like exercise, because I haven't got a state of contrast. Your brain works on a state of contrast, which means that if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is check your phone, scroll through social media, listen to loud music, eat some crap for breakfast, now you've basically taken yourself to a really high level of stimulation up here. And coming away from that and down into a natural stimulant like work or like exercise or anything is really hard, because you've created such a state of contrast and deficit between where you were and where you are now. And so what I like to do is I load my dopamine. where I still do some of the bad stuff, not as much as you. I don't play video games, I don't watch pornography, I don't do anything like that, but I'll still watch the odd YouTube video, I'll still watch a couple of Netflix episodes, usually, actually I just read. But the point is that whilst you are still in this state of frenzy and you need these crazy releases, just do them at the end of the day. So let me tell you something else. Let me show you how this works, right? So I go to sleep at around maybe 11 or like half 11, and I've got this coming in 2-hour increments, right? So if I wake up at 7, the first thing I'm doing is I'm showering, and at this point, there is not a single stimulant in sight. I don't have my phone on my desk, I don't have my laptop in my room, I don't have loud music playing whilst I'm showering, I'm not scrolling through anything. There is no stimulation other than the fact that water is hitting my skin and I'm brushing my teeth, okay, at this point. And basically, as soon as I finish showering, I'm straight here working. So right now, for example, it is 9:21 a.m. and I've been working for a couple of hours and I don't have any stimulation in my environment. The only thing that's stimulating me is stuff associated with work, like Slack or potentially email or this YouTube video, right? And then the same thing happens, between 9 and 11, and at 11, it's just work, okay? Now, at about 1, I'll eat lunch, but lunch for me is just 2 steaks. And the only stimulation that I allow myself during this time is hot sauce, okay? So I'm not eating some massive meal, I'm just eating 2 ribeye steaks, clean as anything, with salt and hot sauce and some sparkling water, okay? And this is good because when I'm eating my lunch, I'm not watching a YouTube video, I'm not listening to a podcast, I'm not scrolling through anything, I'm not listening to music, I'm just eating my lunch. And the problem that most people have with their day is the second they get to lunch, it's over. Because they go to this, if they get the morning right, they go to this extreme dopaminergic state of lunch where they're eating some massive carved up meal with sugar and seed oils and artificial salts, and now they're also scrolling, and coming back to work after that is near impossible. It's just too painful. You're going to just be chasing dopamine all day. This is literally what it's called dopamine chasing, where as soon as your brain gets a taste at the start of the day, now you're just going to be chasing that feeling, and you're not going to be concerned about work or the long term or any sacrifice. All you want is the pleasure and the immediate gratification of the thing that you just experienced. But the cool thing is every time you sleep, it's like your brain's dopamine system sort of resets slightly, and you can go a large portion of the day without it. So for example, even at this point, I still have not checked my phone. So I'm checking Slack, and I'm checking other work things, but I'm not checking my phone. And even then on my phone, I don't have anything except from WhatsApp. But I won't even check WhatsApp because even that, if you're getting all these messages and all this stuff pinging around, when you do this a lot, what starts to happen is you become extremely sensitive to stimulation. And it's a lot easier for these stimulants to whisk you away, which is why I don't go on my phone for a long time through the day. And then, around here is when I'm exercising. So after lunch, I usually find that, if I've been working for 5-6 hours straight, I like going to the gym. Now, if I'm going to the gym, this is important because I will listen to ambient music. And I know this sounds ridiculous, but one thing people do is they'll go to the gym in the morning, right? And, what they're doing is they're doing pre-workout, incredibly stimulating because you've got all this caffeine. And then they're listening to this really loud music. And then they're pumping, and then they're all social in the gym. And this is just another way to just spike that dopamine way up. And that's fine if it's not too far out and you can actually get back to work, then it works pretty well. And then, I get back and then into work. And then usually around here is when I finish work. And only once I finish work, at this point, at this cutoff here, this is when I start dopamine loading. So this is when I'm on my phone, and this is when I can, if I want to watch a YouTube video, or if I want to watch a movie or anything. Now, I won't play video games or anything. Things that, would be considered stimulating, I can start picking up. And I don't eat any crap food either. My lifestyle is still engineered heavily towards low dopamine, but whilst you're easing your brain off of this stuff and weaning yourself off, if you do it between the hours of 7 p.m. and when you go to bed, it doesn't harm your work. And you can kind of have both at the same time. Now, you still want to get rid of these addictions to video games, short form content, junk food, etc. But if you can't get rid of them and you haven't got the willpower to get rid of them like that, just try and manage it. And if you load it in the evening, and if you have this big spike in the evening, it won't really matter because it's not affecting your behavior when it comes to things like the gym, or when it comes to things like reading, or when it comes to the work. It's not an ideal solution because you still have the addiction, right? But it works really well, and that's how I do it. And it basically helps you manage your dopamine and means that when you're starting your day and when it's like 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., whatever, the only source of dopamine release and stimulation that you can receive is from your work. And what that does is it makes work incredibly addictive, and your brain starts to associate it, because what you do and what you want to do is whatever your dopamine receptors are triggered by. And the more that you trigger your dopamine receptors with a stimulant, the more that stimulant becomes valuable in your mind. And so when you starve yourself of all other crazy stimulation for the first 10 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours of the day, you start to want to do it. You'll just want to sit down and work. Like, I couldn't wait this morning to come and make this YouTube video. Like, I woke up and I was like, God damn, can't wait to get to work and make that YouTube video. And most people making a YouTube video is like this painful, arduous task. But for me, it's rewarding, it's stimulating. It's like, it's so exciting because it's all I've given myself the option to do. So that's how you hack neurochemistry. And if you do this, you're going to get rich quick because, well, you'll get rich quicker than you would have got if you otherwise didn't do it. See you soon.